think this is accurate. It's truly not a left or right issue. This is a fundamental issue that relates to the state of our republic.
So Tulsi Gabbard not only won the debate, but she exposed the fact that many Democrats, though they claim to be the party of peace, are actually neocon warmongers. So first of all, let's talk about why I think Tulsi Gabbard won the debate. It's pretty simple. She ended up being the most Googled candidate during and after the debate, which is huge when you're a candidate that is seeking name recognition. That is the entire point of being there on the debates. You want people to say, "Who are you? I need to find out more about you." That's the whole point. If you're a candidate that's coming in with less name recognition than somebody like Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren, who have a lot more name recognition in the stage. So really, I think that means, I mean, she wasn't the only winner. There's several ways to win a debate, but that is certainly a massive, massive thing. So that was huge for her. And I'm sure she received a bump in the fundraising. It'll be interesting to see how much each of the candidates did receive a bump in the fundraising during and after the debates. That would be really the true indicator of who won the debates, is based on that, how many individual contributions they received. Because it's not just about getting your name out there, but it's also about getting people to want to spread your message more and to donate to that.
I know that you had some problems that you are contesting. Google did not treat you fairly after the last debate.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Look, in the first debate, I was on the first night and I was the most searched candidate of that event. Unfortunately, Google chose to arbitrarily block our Google Ads account for several hours at the time that was most critical for our campaign. I'm suing Google for taking that action. They've provided no valid explanation for why that was done. There was no wrongdoing or problem on our part, not because of me, but because of this monopoly, this power that these big tech monopolies have to simply shut out people arbitrarily. This is a threat to our freedom of speech. And it's an important thing for us all to stand united in calling out and to protect, because whether you're a Democrat or Republican or on the left or on the right, for a big tech monopoly to have this power, this affects all of us. Google is in control of 88% of all internet searches in the United States, and I believe it's 92% of all internet searches in the world. So Google is controlling, when you type into that Google search box, what pops up, the information that you see. So it's important that Congress takes action, because right now this is unchecked. They've got their secret algorithms. They can control the information that we see. They can control what pops up in our Facebook feeds, and they can censor voices that they disagree with.
Okay, and let me be clear. I don't really agree with Tulsi Gabbard on a whole lot. I wouldn't vote for her if she were the candidate for president, but I can still tell right from wrong. Her lawsuit, let me be clear about this in case you didn't fully grasp it, it centers around her being blocked out from Google AdSense accounts. Now, what that is an advertising arm run by Google and YouTube, allowing you both to create and pay to promote ads or videos, as well as receive ads on your channel. Okay, two things here. One, I've also experienced the exact scenario that Tulsi Gabbard is describing. We've run ads here on YouTube for years. Okay, now what kind of ads? We've really only run ads where we run our videos as pre-roll ads before other videos, right? You know, where you can click skip ad, but although people don't skip. We just run our videos. We've been doing it for a long time. I was approached by YouTube to do this. We don't run as many ads, of course, as NBC, Universal, or Disney, Viacom, Vice, but we do what we can. Now, many of the ad campaigns that we've run here on YouTube through Google AdSense were actually engineered by YouTube employees themselves. Again, who reached out to me and taught me how to create these ads and encouraged me to spend more money on these YouTube advertising campaigns. But at some point, they decided that these campaigns, the ones they initially created, were now a violation of policy and began locking them out. Not only that, but even though I was told the exact opposite, I had clearly been blacklisted from promoting any of my videos on the platform here. So again, I ran some tests behind the scenes, and I tried to pick the most vanilla milquetoast examples I could find of my videos, and I attempted to promote them as ads on the platform. Like this long-form conversation, I think, is one with climate change original Greenpeace member Patrick Moore. And then, of course, all of the civil, productive, change my mind segments. All were declined. All were deemed shocking content. Again, even though YouTube had helped design campaigns around these exact pieces of content and collected hundreds of thousands of dollars in advertising those same videos years before. So I say this because I want you to know I'm well aware of the screw jobs that can occur with AdSense without any answer, Ms. Gabbard. Second point. Most importantly, this establishes a record with Tulsi Gabbard of Google, YouTube altering the rules for a specific window of time when Tulsi Gabbard was trending or was widely searched due to a bump in the debates. You don't get that back.
We're still up now.
Okay, good.
So.
Good-ish.
Yeah.
On Friday, Hillary Clinton, Rodham, in case you thinking of someone else. Hillary Rodham Clinton claimed that Tulsi Gabbard, well, she claimed that there were people who were Russian assets, and then it was confirmed that it was Tulsi Gabbard, right? Confirmed that she was talking about Tulsi Gabbard, accusing her of being a Russian asset.
The latest conspiracy now is that Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian spy.
We have Hillary outlining this theory. Would you like to hear it?
Yes, here
she is from some podcast. I think it's David Plouffe's podcast.
They're also going to do third party again. And I'm not making any predictions, but I think they've got their eye on somebody who's currently in the Democratic primary and are grooming her to be the third party candidate. She's the favorite of the Russians. They have a bunch of sites and bots and other ways of supporting her so far. And
unbelievable.
That's assuming Jill Stein will give it up, which she might not, because she's also a Russian asset.
Agent,
yeah, she's a Russian asset. I mean, totally. And so they know they can't win without a third party candidate. And so I don't know who it's going to be, but I will guarantee you they'll have a vigorous third party challenge in the key states that they most need it.
This is the most incredible conspiracy I have heard.
Thank you, Hillary Clinton. You, the queen of warmongers, embodiment of corruption, and personification of the rot that has sickened the Democratic Party for so long, have finally come out from behind the curtain. From the day I announced my candidacy, there has been a concerted campaign to destroy my reputation. We wondered who was behind it and why. Now we know. It was always you. Through your proxies and powerful allies in the corporate media and war machine, afraid of the threat I pose. It's now clear that this primary is between you and me. Don't cowardly hide behind your proxies. Join the race directly.
And Tulsi's response had her trending #1 on Twitter. I think it was this on Friday? It was last Friday. That's when we were looking into this. Okay, so she was the #1 trend. Actually, I think like #1 through 4, because one might have been Tulsi, another might have been Russian asset, another might have been Gabbard. The point is, she was the belle of the ball, with many verified check marks, by the way, and pundits running with the story, fighting over whether she was a Russian plant. So during this time, we decided to, again, while Tulsi Gabbard was in the spotlight, run some comparative searches on YouTube. When we set our VPN, so I want to be clear, this is the crescendo. Share it, pirate this in case it gets removed. When we set our VPN to a non-United States country, and we search for Tulsi Gabbard, her channel and the videos from her channel all showed up first. Yet again, when we switched our searches to the United States, however, nothing. Exclusively in the United States, the country in which she is currently running for president, you would receive no results from Tulsi Gabbard's channel or her videos until scrolling past the first page. Here's a video screen recording, and just in case people try to say that we've doctored it. By the way, these video screen recordings will be available as clips on YouTube should you want to use them for articles. So, that Friday, you search, she's trending 1 on Twitter, all of a sudden, boom. Valve is pinched. You can't find her exclusively in the United States. You can if you're in Germany. You can if you're in Spain. United States, however, nothing. By Sunday, once the trend of Hillary Clinton's character assassination had subsided, the results for the U.S. and other countries were magically switched back to being identical. Now, it's worth noting that her channel is right now, as far as I know it, omitted from both sets of results. So everyone out there, take some screenshots, do some VPN experiments. I assume they're going to be fixing this once this video is out, and I assume that someone there is watching this right now, so they may not necessarily be consistent. You don't always have the same result twice. Even though, by the way, they're the same, her channel is not as prominent as it was before. Let me say this. Tulsi Gabbard is not my candidate. Like I said, I wouldn't vote for her. But this is chilling. Especially when you consider, let's think about this for a second. Again, we stumbled across this accidentally. I don't know if anyone else has proof that there is someone who flips a switch on YouTube to make your channel a part of the preferred channels network, whatever the hell it's called. We only found out because of the Vox Adpocalypse. And then we only found out because I flippantly mentioned that this reeks of election meddling. All of a sudden a phone call and someone says we remedied that scenario. That means that if someone can flip that switch, and it's not entirely algorithmic, or it's almost as though the algorithms are determined by a human being initially, it's not iRobot, that means that same person can flip off the switch for someone like Tulsi Gabbard. All of this is spine-tingling. It is hair-raisingly scary. And if you're interested in a fair election, whether for the presidency or just for the Democratic candidate for the presidency, this should raise some major red flags. The influence that big tech has and their willingness to manipulate information in the face of what should be a democratic election, regardless of whether it's happening to someone I support or not, is terrifying. So let me address some arguments, by the way, that I know will be presented. And I hope that you are being skeptical of this. I encourage you to be, and I encourage you to run your own tests. YouTube and Google will inevitably claim one of three things, or several, because this is what we've run into. This is always what they claim publicly. One, that it's simply algorithmic. It's not. Again, this channel is singularly unique in that we're able to prove that it's not because our channel was fixed by someone manually. Someone flipped a switch. Someone could unflip that switch for Tulsi Gabbard. Two, YouTube may try to pass this off as an accident, a result of a poor, lower-level employee with bad judgment, claiming that this was an oversight and that the individual didn't make the proper corrections, and they have since addressed the issue. Don't buy that either. Okay? Why? We've been in direct contact with decision makers at YouTube who are aware of these problems and have been trying to do damage control to fix the problems. Okay? It would stand to reason that the status of a current presidential candidate who is actively suing YouTube would be under the same kind of close watch from the world's biggest information and technology company, and that she wouldn't be someone pawned off on some patsy for the higher ups. Doesn't pass a sniff test. Three, this is another argument they'll use, and this is most important. YouTube in the past has consistently argued that their algorithms, policies, that they are the results, well, they argue that it's a result of algorithms, but they do argue, let me be clear here, that the algorithms, the policies, the results that you find are often geographically dependent. That's something that we were told. It's something that many of you have been told. And that's because it's geographically dependent because it's designed to best serve viewing audiences with the most appropriate content for their search. I've heard this argument made a whole lot, and I expect it to be made now. If that's the case, I would implore YouTube, please, because I know someone there is watching, could you please explain to me, your shareholders, and in all likelihood, a congressional hearing, why you believe it most appropriate in serving your audience to block the content of a United States presidential candidate exclusively in the country in which she is running? How is that best serving anybody? In the same way, how does it serve the audience searching for Steven Crowder, Change My Mind, to not show them what it is that they are searching for? I'm sure shareholders and people who want to understand how these algorithms and big tech work, they would love to know why it's in their best interest for users to not find the content they signed on for and are actively searching. How does allowing Tulsi Gabbard's channel and videos to show up everywhere around the world except for the United States best serve your audience? YouTube, you are in the information business. And I want to clarify this. When we say big tech, no, it's the information business right now. From a business perspective, YouTube, how does it make sense to preclude your users from finding the content they are searching for specifically and passionately? The only answer I can come up with in the face of mounting evidence is that it's not even profit-driven, but to an extent ideological. And finally, to the detractors who I know will say, well, Tulsi's not a serious candidate, right? We hear this a lot. In the grand scheme, it doesn't really matter. Tulsi's not a serious candidate. Okay, you know what? I get it. Not very high in the polls. People say the same thing about us. Well, it's just some right-wing edgy channel. Who really cares? Well, actually, it's the biggest conservative channel in the history of the world's largest media platform because of you, and we are so grateful. I don't say that boastfully. I say that in a from a place of terror, because who knows where we'll be tomorrow. But the biggest conservative channel on the platform, they've actively tried to silence it. Tulsi Gabbard is not a serious candidate. I hear that. Well, let me ask you a question. Let's assume that's true. Why do you think that is? We often hear the left talk about big money in politics all the time, right? The Koch brothers, oil money. And listen, I think it's a problem, but the Koch brothers opposed Donald Trump. And money can't save people from the viral news cycle in 2019. Donald Trump, like it or not, is the new media president. He can affect the globe with his tweets. That's why it's an international scandal. You can't buy that. Bernie Sanders didn't have the money or the power that the Clintons did, and it took everything they had to try and shut him down. Why? Because of the radical new media landscape. Information in 2019 is more valuable in elections than money. And right now, I am confident in saying that Tulsi Gabbard is being barred from access to or delivery of necessary information. Sure, listen, we don't know whether Tulsi Gabbard can get the votes and be a winning candidate. I'll give you that. Just like we don't know how large this very channel could grow if there were a level playing field. Let me paint a picture for you, for people who say, well, she's not a serious candidate, asking you why. Let's run this little thought experiment. If back in the 60s, well, let's even say early 50s through late 50s through early 60s. Back in the 60s, JFK was completely banned from appearing on the only three main networks that existed, ABC, NBC, CBS, right? And then after a certain amount of time, it was an Indian going, boo. If he was banned from all of those networks, do you think he would have been the Democratic candidate? If he had never been allowed to appear on those networks which reached, I think, 28 million homes, that was about, we have the source here, 60% of United States households, do you think that he would have had the same fan base? Do you think he would have been a serious candidate on everyone's lips? I would argue likely not. Well, let's compare that. YouTube has 2 billion monthly active users and is used by 73% of United States adults. Google has a 90.46% share of the market as it relates to searches conducted online worldwide. It is far greater than the influence of every television network combined in the era of JFK or Nixon. Make no mistake, okay? This is the most powerful information company on the face of the earth today and likely to have ever existed. And they've repeatedly shown an inability, an unwillingness to invite, to engage, and sometimes they ultimately just block people from even having a seat at the table. We often hear folks say, and this has become a catchphrase, like I said earlier, but in this instance, I think this is accurate. It's truly not a left or right issue. This is a fundamental issue that relates to the state of our republic. And I would hope that everyone, from the Young Turks to their subsidiaries, to Seth Meyers, to John Oliver, to folks in the Yang Gang, even the Tulsi Gabbard followers themselves, who I know have been asking questions if she's been getting a raw deal, hopefully this helps you. I would ask all of you, with whom I have very little in common, to see the gravity of this situation and, in this instance, come together to demand answers and transparency from the world's largest information company as it relates to
Clinton thing. She's insane. You know, you want to talk about conspiracy theories. First of all, she's the one that started the Barack Obama conspiracy theory about the birth certificate.
Yeah, her campaign.
It was her campaign.
They outlined the strategy in campaign memos.
She was the first one to start the vast right-wing conspiracy. This woman is a conspiracy nut job. Now she
a multiple decade record of conspiracy theorizing,
and all just to cover up how many people they killed.
I don't know if that's the most credible argument to make that point, but I like it.
Yeah, thank you. So